Okay, Went here, the master of love and sex. You talk to some of my girlfriends or wives, and they're not going to think so. But I also want to be very down to earth and practical. Okay, so I'm going to start with something that was in the news recently, and kind of use that as a kickoff to talk about some other things. And so, what was in the news recently? Well, what was in the news recently is Viagra for women. If you really paid attention to what that was, and what was said, is that basically you had a PR job being put out by a major mega pharmaceutical corporation that wants to get into the business that Viagra has occupied with men for women. It wants to convince women that there's something wrong with them sexually, and it'll be fixed by taking a pill. Take a little pill. It's going to make you all better. Or, if you're a husband and you think your wife's not up to what you need her to be, you try to talk her into taking the pill. Oh dear, go to the doctor, and there'll be ads, the ads like the Viagra ads. Well, have you had the conversation with the guy about your erectile dysfunction yet? You're supposed to talk to your doctor about your ED. Okay? Now, there's a very real questions in people's lives. And like I said in the last video, we're really ignorant. We live in a culture of fallen Eros, and we don't understand a whole lot of stuff. And one of the things we don't understand is the human being. But let's just start with this thing. Now, one of the other things that came out with this announcement on women needing Viagra was a statement that there had been some research. Well, what's the research that they do? Well, they do, they do basically statistical analysis of things that are polls. They ask people questions, and then they analyze the data, and it's very sort of, I don't know what, but there's something missing from it, something human missing from it. Of course, if you go to a psychologist or psychiatrist, the human might come back. But at least in the data, they say, well, so many percent of women said they only felt desire so many times a month or times a week or whatever, and that basically the pill is going to increase the amount of desire that the woman has. Okay. Now, the assumption there is a woman should have moments of desire. But what do we know factually? Well, let's just talk about older people, for example. Most older women go through menopause, which means that they can't have babies anymore. And unless they have an active sexual life already, or they meet someone that has an active sexual life, they settle into not having sex at all. They become content doing whatever it is that they want to do, and they're not out running around trying to find a man like men are running around trying to get laid. You watch the shows on TV like How I Met Your Mother or 2.5 Men. That should be 2.5 boys, by the way. Those are not men. And nor is the sexual ideas of the people in, How I Met Your Mother mature in any fashion whatsoever. These stories have to be written by boys who are having fantasies about what it would be like to be a boy and get everything you want, So that's the main character on 2.5 Men. And of course, a little bit they show how unhappy he gets when it doesn't really work out right. You can pursue and get laid all you want, but it's not going to satisfy your real human needs for intimacy. And anybody with 2 brain cells rub together knows that. So what happens? Well, older women don't need to have sex. And they know this. They have other needs. They have other things that they want. It's not like they don't want to have sex or they don't want to have a lover, but by their nature, they have a more mature understanding of all of that. And it'd be really interesting to get a bunch of older women in a room and ask them the kinds of questions the psychologists who made up this study about women desire say, But let's just take this old guy and see if he knows anything about it. Now, here's the proposition, okay? the main thing that arouses desire in a woman is being desired. In a healthy erotic relationship, which has way more dimensions than just the erotic, the thing that arouses the desire in a woman is the man's expression of his desire for her. And to express that in a healthy way, he has to understand himself as a sexual person. Not just as a sexual person, but as a human being. He has to have a lot of understanding. And we live in a culture where all of that stuff is sort of just faded into the sunset. We have no idea why these things go on. We have a lot of guesses, and we have people striving, and we have people managing successful romantic and sexual and loving relationships in spite of the absence of any general wisdom in our culture. Okay? But the thing that arouses desire in a woman is to be desired. Now what am I saying there? I'm saying it's not physical at all. It's essentially psychological and spiritual. To be with a man that wants you and wants to make love to you and wants to know you and care about you. Okay, you getting the point here? What did I say earlier? I said the woman is warmed from the inside out. Now what do I mean by warmed? The flame of desire in her just sort of burns like that, very, very tiny, because everybody's got it. And you don't need a pill if you want your wife or your girlfriend to be more expressive as a sexual person. You need to understand her as a woman if you're a guy. And the interesting thing is it works the other way as well. One of the big flaws in our understanding of sexuality is the women going around thinking that when they give themselves to the man, they've become his lover. It's not true. We think it's true, we act like it's true. And the man comes away, and he has his sex, and he has an orgasm, and everybody goes for the orgasm. The orgasm's the big thing, and then afterwards, the guy falls asleep, and the woman's sitting there wanting to talk, and everybody sort of thinks, well, why does that happen? Well, it happens because we don't understand what we're doing when we make love. We don't understand love. We need to learn about love. We need to actually think about it, And if a woman wants to be a lover of a man, she needs to think about how to be a lover of this particular individual man. That's the spiritual part. We're individuals. If a man wants to love a woman, and I don't know, I assume that the same stuff is basically true in what we might call gay sex and love. It's not about the eroticism and the sensuality, which is certainly part of things, but it's about the core of psychological and spiritual intimacy. It's about getting to know another person. It's about trust. It's about all kinds of things that have very, very little to do with screwing and getting laid. And that's why those TV shows are an abomination, because they make you think something's true that's simply not true. It's time to grow up. More later.